What's up, y'all? Welcome to a super cool video tonight because tonight I'm throwing on the turbo setup. I'm going through the plumbing, my oil lines, my water lines. I'm gonna keep it brief, but I'm gonna let y'all know what's up, and honestly I'm really excited, so I'm gonna just go at this. I've already started some of it and I'll explain in a minute, but nothing. Let's go. Alright, so if you're unfamiliar with the ISR Turbo Kit, this is the V1 Turbo Kit. It's just the RS3171, which is the GT2871 replica turbo, SR Turbo, standard V1 manifold. It comes with like a, I don't even know what type of gasket, but I hear they blow out, so I got myself a Comedics multi-layer gasket, so that's going to be going on. And if you're also familiar with the ISR Turbo Kit, it doesn't come with any oil feed, water feed, drain, any of those kind of lines. You have to pretty much do your own plumbing, so that's kind of tricky to figure out, and I kind of was able to figure it out, so I'm just going to go through and explain what I was able to do, and it might be able to help out some of y'all. But yeah, I ended up getting new exhaust manifold studs from PKF Pro Kit fasteners. Yeah, so they had a good deal. I decided to cop them. You know, we'll see what they do. And eBay little oil drain. I'll get into all that, but yeah, let's start throwing this together. All right, so first things first, I'm going to take care of these exhaust manifold studs just so we have those ready. So once we mount the turbo to the manifold, we could just throw manifold to turbo and not have anything else to do at that point. Alright, so now that we've got our exhaust manifold studs on the head, we're going to jump into getting the turbo onto the exhaust manifold itself. So I've already gone ahead and mounted my turbo studs that came with the exhaust manifold. I just, snug those down, maybe an extra quarter, half turn, threw on some anti-seize, and after I threw these in, it made clearance onto the turbo a little bit tricky. It gets on about halfway, but then kind of runs into some interference somewhere. So my pops is here, and we're actually just going to full send it, and we're going to squeeze it on the rest of the way. We're going to do this one shot, so I'm going to get the gasket ready, and we're going to mount this up. Gasket, I don't think it matters what side that goes on. Hopefully not. Alright, squeeze a little. I need to squeeze more. I need to squeeze a lot more. Okay, that's not going anywhere. Stop. More to your side. Oh, yeah. Alright, so I forgot to press record after I stopped recording that time around. But yeah, so we were able to get it sandwiched together the second time around. So yeah, now we're just going to get our studs on, Loctite, our turbo locking tabs that I haven't showed you guys yet, but that I got. But we're going to just jump into this install. So I fumbled a little bit. I started getting excited. I started threading on the washers and crush washers and the nuts without throwing in my turbo locking tabs. So these are going to go right over the studs coming out of the turbo side of the flange, and then you throw on the washer, the crush washer, and the nut, and you're going to fold up these tabs to prevent the nut from essentially backing out. So just an extra step of precaution that hopefully helps. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've just mocked up the exhaust manifold completely upside down just so I can show you what me and my pops did off screen. So as you can see, the provided nuts and crush washers are used. There was an extra set of washers that we decided not to use because the turbo locking tabs kind of act like a washer, and it just did not provide enough thread for us to thread on the nut, so we just decided to eliminate that washer. But we went ahead and busted up our locking tabs already to prevent the turbo, or to prevent the nuts from hopefully backing out. Put some high heat Loctite, and we'll see how that holds up. Hopefully we won't need to rethread these on anytime soon. Imagine if it were top mount though. That's crazy. All right, so to save you and myself some time, I'm just going to quickly and briefly go over everything that I have here and that I needed to figure out for my plumbing situation for this turbo kit. A lot of this, actually all of this, I DIY put together. I didn't do any kit or anything like that. And yeah, this is what I was able to find out. So top side of this turbo is going to be oil feed and bottom side is going to be oil drain. ISR already gives you a provided M12 by 1.25 banjo to 3AN male fitting. Right, that sits already right on top of the side of the turbo. So that was the only provided fitting. And then for the bottom side, it's just a flange style oil drain. So for my oil drain, I'll just go over that real quick. I just got this off of eBay. I got one of these extended 5/8 size flange oil drains. It was $10 off of Amazon, and it wasn't really paired up for this turbo. So because of that, it didn't really fit that well, and I had to grind the inside of these tabs, but I got those grinded out. It fits real nice and everything. I'll still need to do the same thing to the gasket. But essentially, that is my oil drain setup. It's just going to go straight to a 5/8 hose, which is going to drain right into my 5/8 barb fitting, which is tapped into my oil pan. That's that. For my oil feed, since I already have this fitting, I decided to work with that. So I had this custom line made. I think this is like 28 inches of stainless steel braided line with 2-3AN female ends. The reason for this being, this is going to tap right or screw right into this banjo fitting right here on the top side of the turbo, wrap around, and I don't know if you guys seen yet or not, but I actually have a glow shift oil filter sandwich plate with 4 of the 1/8 natural pipe thread fitting sizes. So because of that, I got a 1/8 NPT 2-3AN male fitting, which I'll show you guys once I set it up and everything. And this is pretty much going to screw right into my oil filter sandwich plate, and this line is going to screw into that fitting there. So that is where my oil feed is going to be from. So oil feed, oil drain. The 2 side passages, which are identical on both the sides of the turbo, are for our coolant pass-through. That's M14 by 1.5. What I was able to find out is it doesn't matter which direction coolant enters the turbo from, as long as you have it in one like circulatory motion. So what I was able to find out there is, well, I found out the thread sizes. And so what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be grabbing my coolant from my heater hoses. I'm still going to be retaining my heater in the car. I'm going to be DIYing and trying to figure out how to make this work and everything. But essentially, we're going to be grabbing coolant right from the heater hoses. And so because of that, I got these 5/8 T's that are pretty much going to tee right into the heater hoses, and they branch off to a 5/16 barb hose here. And that is going to go to my 5/16 coolant hose that I have. And essentially how that's going to enter the turbo is with these fittings here. Let me explain what I've got. So coming out of the turbo is an M14 by 1.5. So I got these M14 by 1.5 thread size here to a 6AN fitting. This is going to screw into the turbo just like that. I'll just roughly do it. And then I got these 6AN 90s to a 5/16 barb with a 360 turning head. So now I can actually turn this little L bracket in between the turbo here and snug that down. I'll tighten everything up right now, and essentially that's where I'm going to be plugging that 5/16 line right into. And this should be a safe way, hopefully enough from the turbo. If I ever need to maintenance any of these lines, take off a hose clamp, it should be a pretty safe distance away from burning myself. So yeah, now that I've showed you everything, I am pretty much going to attach all of these fittings real tight to the turbo, then bolt the manifold and turbo to the block, and then roughly lay out my plumbing. Hopefully that wasn't too fast, and hopefully that wasn't too long. But yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so the manifold and turbo is on. Getting the bolts properly on and torqued down all across was definitely a hassle, but that's all done. That's all figured out now. And I just realized that I already secured the hose clamp and the hose to the coolant side on the block side of the turbo, and I didn't do my oil feed line. So I am working with very little space to tighten down that AN fitting, but hopefully it doesn't need too much strength to torque it down. But yeah, I'm gonna quickly secure that, and honestly that's really it. Probably do the drain and show you what I'm working with. This is definitely gonna be a challenge. Yes. Yes. Thread. Okay, that's enough. Oh my gosh, man. This is going to be terrible space to work with. Yeah, I think that's good, to be honest. Alright, so here we are on the intake manifold side of the engine. So I have my oil line just coming right all the way around, and this is where I'm going to pretty much tap in my 1/8 NPT, and I dropped it thread into there. I'm going to get some Teflon right now though, essentially like that, and then voila, and then we'll do whatever we need to do to tuck it up underneath the intake manifold once we get that in. Alright, so that is the setup. What I have that can be plumbed up is already plumbed up. So everything's tightened down on the turbo, and everything's pretty much been tightened down that I've been attaching. So oil drain is good, hose clamps are down, 5/8 hose. I'm gonna stick with this angle. I think it's okay. I think it's totally fine. But yeah, hose clamps tightened down, my little 10AN 90 that goes into my oil drain bung. So that's plumbed up, that's ready to be dropped. I decided to attach the 5/16 hose to the innermost 5/16 90 that goes into for the water passage, because I didn't want to, you know, very tight space. I didn't want to get to that later, so I just thought I would attach it now. And I don't know what length I'm going to be working with, so I'm just going to leave this as is, and when I drop it then I'll cut, and then I'll start adding the brass tees and everything, and then using the excess line to, you know, feed this one. Oil line is all plumbed up. Gonna wrap around here. I'll probably get some clamps or something to pretty much secure that a bit better, and that's gonna go right here into my oil sandwich plate. So yeah, that's the plumbing for this turbo kit that I'm going to be doing. Soft lines for everything. Looks pretty OEM like, which I kind of dig, and just the stainless steel braided for the oil line. Yeah.